Hello, this is Jessica Frost-Ballas for Heffy Doodle, and today I'm going to share a paper-pieced card using ink-blended die cuts to create a scene. So let's get started. First, I've laid out my dies on an A2 panel of white cardstock. I'm using the Silver Linings Cloud dies, Grassy Last border dies, and Slopey Joe border dies. Once I'm happy with the placement, I use a little purple tape to hold the dies in place, and then run them through my die cutting machine. Next, I use repositionable adhesive to temporarily adhere the die cuts to a piece of scrap paper. Then I blend Distress Oxide inks onto each die with a blending tool. I use a light hand so that I won't accidentally bend any of the pieces, but you could also use a blender brush. I use Mowed lawn and peeled paint on the grassy borders. Then I carefully remove each die and repeat the process with the pond and sky. I use Salty Ocean and Blueprint Sketch for the pond, and Stormy Sky, Faded Jeans, and Chip Sapphire for the sky. Finally, I use a little weathered wood on the bottom of each cloud. I use my heat gun to dry the pond and sky sections and set the others aside to dry on their own. I place the pond and sky in my MISTI and stamp sentiments from Quack Me Up onto each section with Versamark before heat embossing them with white embossing powder. Next, I stamp the cute ducks and sun from Quack Me Up onto white cardstock with VersaFine and heat emboss them with clear embossing powder before coloring them with Copic markers. Even though my ducks are white, I use light shades of toner gray Copic markers to add a little depth to the images. This helps them not look quite so flat and gives them a little dimension. Once I'm done coloring, I die cut them with the coordinating dies. Next, I line up the sun behind one of the die cut clouds and line up the die over the die cut. Then I use purple tape to adhere the die to the sun and run it through my die cutting machine. This gives me a clean cut that lines up perfectly with the curve of the cloud. Now that all the elements of my card are complete, it's time to put it all together. I apply ATG adhesive all over a card base and then start to line up my scene. The hardest part is getting the first die in place. After that, it's just a matter of puzzle piecing them together. I like to tilt the base up and use my work surface to help me line up the die against the base. It's actually kind of fun to see it all start to come together. Once the scene is complete, I add my sun and ducks with a little liquid adhesive to finish the card. And that's it! I hope this gives you some ideas for how to use the standalone dies to create scenes. Thanks so much for watching, have a fantastic day and happy crafting! Bye!